On today's show, we've got the first full trailer for Aladdin, kids dropping lots of F-bombs in the Good Boys trailer, and then on top of that, is there a Bohemian Rhapsody sequel in the works? We're gonna dig into that. Yeah, it's as ridiculous as it sounds, and we're gonna tear it apart. That is our show today with Jeff Sneider and Mark Reilly. Guys, I am so happy to be back at this table with you. Austin was fun, but this is home sweet home. How you guys
back,
doing?
Perri.
Yeah.
I enjoyed your South by stories this morning. Getting the lowdown, the lay of the land.
I think I posted. Are we talking about Instagram stories
just
right now?
Just chit chatting in the office
I thought
here.
we were specifically
Real life
talking
stories.
about Instagram stories because I only posted one story the entire time I was there, and it was my plate of food from Salt Lick, which I was not leaving Austin without going there once.
I missed that one. How was it? Food good?
It's so good.
Yeah.
We went in the airport right before we flew back, and you basically eat a gigantic plate of meat, and then you pass out on the plane, and that's great.
Yes.
Good times all around. Now we're jumping into our first story, and as I said up top, that is the brand new Aladdin trailer. So this is the very first full trailer we're getting, which means we get a much more in-depth look at the movie. We hear some of the iconic songs that we know. Just in case you don't have it on your calendar already, this movie hits theaters on May 24th. So Reilly, let's kick things off with you. I assume that you kind of fell in line with all of us in terms of that first TV spot that revealed Will Smith as the genie, right?
Yeah, the first tease was fine. It reminded me of the first tease of Cinderella where they just showed the glass slipper. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, here we go. That second trailer, yeah, I was with everybody. I thought it looked awful. This one was great. It was a lot better.
You don't seem like you're that hot on it, though.
I'm still not that hot on this movie. But the feels were had when A Whole New World played. And I thought about, it's like, why didn't they start with this? That's what I was wondering, to really get the nostalgia in there. And the genie worked a lot better for me. I thought it was fun. I did laugh when it's like the whole prince thing is like, it's a little vague. I can create a prince for you. And then he creates a prince. That was funny for me. I'm still iffy on everything. It looks good. It looks better than everything. I have a lot more faith in it because of this trailer, but there's something about the look that I'm still not gelling with completely, and I need to see in theaters. Believe me, I'm excited. I'm an Aladdin guy. I grew up. It hit me right in the moment where I can remember it. I was singing all the songs. Love those songs and everything, but yeah, I'm still the jury is still out a bit.
I am kind of right there with you. I can't look at this trailer and say, oh, I am super confident now,
Right.
but I think that the TV spot was such a gigantic disaster that this one looks so good to me all of a sudden. The fact that we finally got the music worked in a way that it gives me chills, it brings back that nostalgic love for the original animated movie. That's what we should have had all along, and that's what that first teaser missed out on. I understand that they were trying to tap into it, and it was meant to be a teaser, but that should have conjured way more emotion than it did. Then, of course, that TV spot was just a huge disaster. What they did right here with the genie, and I'm a little surprised that they showed as much genie as they did after the response to the last thing. I thought they were going to pull back on that significantly, but it was quick cuts to the genie, and I think that's what made it sit right with me, is that very rarely were we just like sitting there focusing on CG Will Smith as the genie as he was saying something. It was mostly like joke and then poof, he's gone, or something else, and I think that made that whole look sit a little better with me.
Yeah, I wonder if that was by design. They had a little bit more confidence in it, and it's like the reason they doubled down instead of pulling back is that's going to be a major sell for this movie is Will Smith as the genie. So maybe try to do the best they can, which it worked. I think it worked. I got a better idea of the character. I liked it. I liked everything about the genie actually in this compared to the first one. I actually laughed a number of times with it and thought it was very cute.
Jeff, do you read this as a reaction to the last TV spot?
You hated this, didn't you, Jeff?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Disney should just pull all the ads, all the trailers right now, and just pull a Netflix and just say, the movie comes out today, or the movie comes out tomorrow, okay? These trailers are awful, and they're doubling down on Will Smith because you don't have anything else to double down on. What do you mean? That's the whole sell. The whole reason for making this movie is that they got a star of Will Smith's caliber to play the genie. What are you going to sell it on? Naomi Scott and Mina Massoud and Marwan Kenzari as Jafar? far. Like, give me a break. You have no other elements to sell. Guy Ritchie's name does not put butts in seats. All you have is Will Smith as the genie, and that looks like maybe the worst element of this entire movie. This is not going to do well.
Ooh.
Oh,
so wait, Will Smith is the genie, but also the brand that Aladdin is. You don't think Aladdin, the name and the idea of a live action Aladdin, is basically guaranteeing this movie a certain amount opening weekend?
I mean, of course it is. It's a live. What is guaranteeing it a certain amount is not Aladdin. It's the gigantic marketing spend that Disney is going to just throw at this movie to open it. I mean, you know, all of Disney's live action films are going to have a certain floor, box office wise. But I think this one is going to be a lot closer to that floor than to the ceiling of some of the other films like Beauty and the Beast.
Let's say this winds up, one, not being good overall, and also a little bit of a box office bust in comparison to some of their other things like Beauty and the Beast. What does that do to their future lineup? Do we then see future planned live action adaptations maybe relegated to the Disney Plus zone?
I do think so. Yeah, I think that Disney Plus will sort of be the destination for these movies that are maybe made at half the budget, at $60 to $80 million instead of $150 million. I mean, this movie sounds crazy expensive. Mulan is another film that it's like, I hate to say it, but I don't know if that is going to perform either, because just like you need stars, and I don't know that Aladdin. I don't think it's going to cut it.
There are names. They're remaking, at least for me, in the time. Mulan, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid. Those were like some big movies in the Disney era of animation that I watched and ate up, and they're now making those. And so Mulan, I think, is going to crush, actually. Depending on what we see, the first look and everything, I think there's a huge audience for Mulan. And Mulan is one of my favorite Disney movies. But the transfer, how is it going to work? Because Aladdin is one of my favorites. And I'm kind of with you, Jeff. I don't know if this doesn't look good. There's something off in the trailers that just isn't rubbing me correctly.
It looks like fake. It looks like it's all
fake.
sets.
It looks like sets, but like Beauty and the Beast got me. The movie I didn't love. I think it was a little too much. I prefer the animated, but it was good. Jungle Book blew me away. Cinderella, I think, is the best adaptation we've had from all of their live action because it really did something interesting with the story. But Aladdin, I'm with you. I think there's something. I'm worried that this could be a flop, and it'll open huge. I think it'll open huge comparative to like other Disney live action. Maybe not Beauty and the Beast huge, but it will open huge. But if it's a stinker and word of mouth spreads, I think we could be looking at a little dismal box office return for Disney.
I just don't think that this movie is in Guy Ritchie's wheelhouse at all. I don't think that he's a family filmmaker. I don't think he's a musical guy. I think he was very much the wrong choice. I've kind of heard he just kind of shot a take or two and then retreated into his trailer. Which is something that I'd frankly heard about F. Gary Gray on that last Fast and Furious movie, and he's not coming back. I don't expect Guy Ritchie to be asked to do another Disney live action movie. I know that we've heard. You know what? I remember we did hear those rumors. It was about him maybe taking over Pirates of the Caribbean. I would be shocked if they went back to. I would be shocked if they went back to Guy Ritchie for anything.
Yeah, well, when he was given the director's reins, I was like, how is he going to do the music? I mean, this is a definite musical, and people like when you say Rob Marshall, you go, oh yeah, that works. But Guy Ritchie, I thought was an outstanding choice outside the box. But when I'm hearing that stuff, you don't want to, maybe that's why it looks a little weird. But there's something, my spidey senses are tingling a little bit.
These actors have never top-lined a movie either. I mean, I know we're talking about Will Smith as the genie, but Mina Massoud and Naomi Scott, these are unproven entities. And yeah, I just, when the movie really is about that relationship between, Aladdin and Jasmine, I don't know. I feel like
who do you get in general then,
I mean, well, that's the thing, because you can cast stars, but then you get all like the Twitter pieces about how that it wasn't cast with racial sensitivity in mind. Right. So that's the thing when you're trying to make new stars. You're sacrificing something. You're leaving something on the table.
I happen to have seen Mina in a movie at South by while I was there called Run This Town, and he is one of the main characters in it. It's more of an ensemble piece, and he was pretty good in it. I don't think it's necessarily the kind of showcase movie that would suggest to me, oh, he can carry Aladdin. And as for Naomi Scott, I think I've seen her in enough things that I've got confidence in her. But like you said, Will Smith is the headliner here.
Yeah, exactly. And I know it's not on them to open the movie. It's going to be on Will Smith's shoulders, but there's only so much he can do.
The pressure is on. Clearly, we're mixed on this trailer and basically what step this is taking this movie and whether it's a step forward or a step backwards. But we're getting closer to that May release date, so we're going to find out real soon. Another movie that we've got on our trailer lineup today is something we've got to wait longer for. August 16th to be exact. We have a trailer for the movie Good Boys, and this movie is actually not age appropriate for its cast. It's got an R rating and it features 12-year-old friends Max, Thor, and Lucas. And Max is played by Jacob Tremblay, who you might know from Room and The Predator. And these kids accidentally destroy the drone that belongs to Max's dad, and then they get wrapped up in a string of misadventures as they try to replace it before Max's dad gets home. Whoa, the F-bombs and the inappropriateness in this trailer. It was something else. Jeff, how are you feeling about this one? Do you think that this could wind up being a mid-August hit?
Yeah, I do. I think that this, kind of fills that like sausage party, Superbad. I think Superbad was also August. That late summer need for a big raunchy comedy.
Is it sad that I remember it was August because I vividly remember taking a picture at Warped Tour in August on Long Island with me and my friend where we were standing and it was like one of those cutout things where you put your head on the...
Oh, sure. Where's Scott Mantz when you need him? Movie release dates. I love this Red Band trailer. I like that they led with the Red Band trailer too.
Yeah.
I like that they dropped it simultaneously, the same night that the movie debuted at South by. I think this looks like an absolute blast. These kids look like they have great chemistry together. I liked a lot of the jokes, the sex jokes. I mean, I have a crude sense of humor that would be well suited for a 12-year-old. So I'm all in on this, and I'm excited for Lee and Gene Stupnitsky, who directed this.
I feel like you had that crude sense of humor when you were 12.
Oh, I was these kids at 9.
I can confirm that they have great chemistry, not necessarily in the movie, but they swung by the interview suite that we had at South by Southwest, and they were funny, and you'll see that interview soon. But Dorian actually saw the full movie, and here's what he tweeted after. He wrote, "Good Boys movie is one of the funniest movies I've seen in a while. Holy shit, I was laughing the entire time." And he's not the only person I heard that reaction from, and I can't say that when I watched this trailer, I was laughing the entire time. I think it was almost being mentally prepared for knowing that this is the trailer where 12-year-olds say the F word all the time. And I think because I knew that, I was kind of waiting for it. But then I watched it again and it started to sit in a little bit better. And especially the bit at the end where he hurts his arm on the bike, that got a laugh out loud reaction for me. But I'm just kind of excited about all the movies we're seeing right now where it's basically like R-rated, crude coming of age stories, because I saw Booksmart at South by. I freaking loved it. I thought it was hilarious, and I really wanted to see this one right after it. But I love the idea of us getting like a similar kind of misadventure with kids, but we have it with high school girls. Now we have it with 12-year-old boys, and I think it could just be exploring a very similar subject matter in different ways. So, Riley, are you in on Good Boys?
Oh, I'm totally in. I'm with everybody here at the time. I loved it. I love that they made no qualms about, yep, here's the Red Band. There are kids cursing in this. Deal with it. If you have a problem, great. But this is, I love these types of movies. I just do. I like the crude humor as well. I'm sure it feels like it, that there's going to be some heart in there, and some like Superbad had a lot of heart in it. And if we're comparing it to there, then great. But if there's no heart and it's all, D and F jokes, fine. Jacob Tremblay is one of the most talented actors coming from Room, and he was the best part of The Predator. I'm kidding. But I'm glad to see him in this, and I can't wait to see it. I just loved everything about this trailer.
What did he say on stage that sounded very scripted but was still funny? He said something.
I know what you're referring to. I can't remember specifically what it was off the top of my head because I wasn't at the screening, but he dropped a couple of jokes during that interview that I found very funny, and it didn't feel scripted whatsoever.
Well, he talks like an adult. So I'm not surprised.
I got that vibe.
I liked a lot of like, in Superbad, it's all about getting laid and getting the booze, and I like that the stakes aren't quite as high, and it's just about like your first kiss and what is that supposed to be like, and looking at porn for the first time, and like what are they doing? I don't know. I like all that stuff.
At the end of the porn bit is hilarious too, where Jacob Tremblay is like, they didn't even kiss, and it's their delivery that's spot on too. Like especially, I want to get the names right so we could start to make sure you guys know about them. The other two young stars in this are Brady Noon and Keith L. Williams, and I don't know, I just found Brady Noon's his delivery of all of his dialogue in this trailer in particular just what really sold some of the jokes. It just seemed very spot on to me.
Right. He said, I remember he said I'm shocked and appalled.
Yeah.
At all the swearing. I'm very much excited for this. I think I don't know if it kind of seems like it's a down year for comedy, or maybe that was just kind of the second half of last year. Like we haven't, besides Blockers, and maybe there was one other one I forget last year, but comedy is not firing on all cylinders lately. Like we're just getting our first Seth Rogen comedy in a while, I feel like, with Long Shot.
Yeah.
The more the merrier. The more studio comedies we can get, the better. I
mean, it's going to be interesting to see how these play too, because I mean, again, the coming of age vibe, I do feel like there's a draw to it, and given the reaction that I saw Booksmart get, I do think this summer could be a hot one for this type of comedy, at least. Yeah. We will find out soon enough. May for Booksmart and August for Good Boys. Next up, before I jump into the story, actually, I'm going to remind you right now, send in those live Twitter questions. We're going to answer some of them at the end of the show, so this is your opportunity. Hashtag Collider Movie Talk. All right, third story for the day is a Marvel story, and specifically a Marvel Disney Plus story. We've got Slash Film reporting that Disney is developing an animated series based on the What If comics. Here's what they said. The idea is that they could potentially have some of the main characters from the live-action Marvel Cinematic Universe movies reprise their roles in the animated series, which would imagine alternate possibilities from another dimension. The time commitment for voice acting is a whole lot less for live action productions, which could accommodate some of the biggest Marvel talent. The series would function as an anthology, just like the comic book series, which each episode tackling a different premise. So, Riley, I know you know a little bit about the What If series. So, do you think this is a good idea, or do you think it might, especially for somebody who wants to keep up with everything Marvel related and everything that is considered canon, is there a risk of this being too much?
No, because I think if they put it in the animation world, then it's pretty easy to wrap your head around, especially for fans of the comic like me, who the what if scenario is basically that. What if the X-Men died on their first mission? What would that mean for the X-Men universe? And you examine that. What if Spider-Man never ever got into crime fighting, and instead became a professional wrestler like he did when he was dealing and was christened the Spider-Man? I love those stories because you can go a lot into different takes on the universe. What if scenarios of like, what if Uncle Ben never died? What if fill in the blank? Dark Horse did a great run for Star Wars, and they called it Star Wars Infinities. What if Luke actually died from the Wampa attack and Yoda has to actually train Princess Leia instead of Luke? Those are the kind of stories I can get behind, have fun with, and if the actors from the roles that they're doing come in and spend a day, hell, an hour, get a paycheck, do the episode, that's going to be fun for the fans everywhere. And I think it's a nice addition to the Disney Plus, and a great thing for comic book sweaties who know this line.
This intrigues me. I get very excited when I hear about franchises kind of branching out and doing something different, and the creative possibilities with having something that, yes, is connected to the MCU, but is taking place in a different dimension just sounds creatively very exciting to me. I'm curious to know what the animation style would be.
Yeah.
Because, when you hear a story like this, and when you hear about something that could take place in a different dimension, at this point in time, my mind immediately goes back to Spider-Verse. So now I'm already thinking, if and when they do this, I want to make sure that they are also adding, just from a visual standpoint too, because that would excite me even more than just saying, okay, we're going to animate using techniques that we've done before, but give you more of these characters.
Well, that's a good point. I don't find it surprising in the least that this news is breaking, couple months after the success of Spider-Verse in theaters, and then not even a month after winning Best Animated Picture. I think it's something that Marvel looked at and went, well, wait a minute. We have Spider-Verses. We have our what if. And I wouldn't even put it at alternate dimensions. It's that what if the story was this way and it's a one-off. And that's what I always love. It can be contained. Maybe it can run a couple episodes depending on the story, but I've always loved that story. That we do it all the time as film people. It's like talking about movies and talking about these scenarios. Like, well, what if he didn't do this, or what if Luke never did blow up the Death Star? What would that look like? That's stuff that the sweaties can get behind.
What if this report was wrong?
Oh no!
I'm just kidding. Slash film.
Oh no!
Nice reporting. Slash film.
Here.
I you know what? I read the news today. Took the thunder away from my talisman scoop, and I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
It sounded like something different, something besides just origin stories or taking the same like a Loki series. I don't care. But yeah, What If sounds like an interesting premise. I guess if there was one that I would want to see, what if Tony Stark was poor.
Yeah. No, I'm serious.
Ooh, that
you could do that.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I like that a lot.
He probably
too.
would be Iron Man. He would have the brain for it. Maybe you'd have to. I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, it's not just Marvel. I mean, I think they've done it. You DC sweaties out there, tell me. I'm sure they've done it in DC because they did it at Star Wars at Dark Horse.
Is this supposed to be a 1 hour or a half hour or what? Do we know?
I don't think Slash Film specified any
half hour
details.
seems like fun. Like if it was like a fun kind of bite-sized sort of thing, that might be the first thing that really gets me excited about Disney Plus.
That's kind of what I'm picturing, because I also immediately pictured the standard Disney animation style for whatever reason, and half hour seems pretty appropriate to me.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get a little more information on this soon, and specifically about what it means to take place in another dimension. I know you tried to define it a little bit, but one of the things that we've been theorizing with Avengers Endgame is that what if we wind up in a position where we are in another universe where all the characters who were dusted and went away, we're with them in another reality. So if this story is true, and if we are getting stories on Disney Plus in animated form that take place in another dimension, Reilly, do you think that closes the door to that theory that they won't want so many different dimensions out there?
No, I don't think so. I would think it would only enhance their want. If this thing takes off, they can then mine. There's a lot of storylines, and I'm looking especially to House of M, which was an X-Men crossover that then brought everybody together. You're loving my sweatiness right now, aren't you?
I got some great news here. I just don't know that I'm allowed to share it.
Oh, okay.
It's not movie news. It's not movie news.
But House of M was a storyline in which Scarlet Witch changes the dimension and it becomes a what if scenario. It's like something happens and I can't remember, but she uses her powers that then I know it kills Hawkeye, at least in the comics, and then it reverberates through the universe and creates an alternate timeline where like Spider-Man, I believe something happened with Spider-Man, but everybody's in a different place, and they can look at that. Especially Marvel. I look at this Fox deal. Everybody wonders about X-Men. I wonder if the House of M kind of storyline could work as alternate dimension. It's in the comics. It's in the source material. So I don't think they would ever want to shy away from it if it doesn't work here, or if it even works here. The House of M storyline could be a great like building up to an Avengers Infinity War, like big event movie where it's like one movie's House of M starts at middle and then end. There's so many options you can do. I have a lot of hope that it's Disney Plus. They're going to look at this. They have so many things they can mine from the comic books, and we'll see what happens.
A lot of possibilities here, and it's also just exciting that we're hearing about different formats and different styles of filmmaking or series making that's happening on Disney Plus, because it is another streaming service we have to pay for, so I want a robust, exciting library. All right, we got one more story on our main lineup today, and it is about Bohemian Rhapsody. So Page 6 is reporting that the director of dozens of Queen music videos says that the band and its management are lining up behind a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody. Here is what Rudy Dolezal told Page 6. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. I'm sure he plans I'm sure he plans a sequel that starts with Live Aid. He added that the follow-up film is now being heavily discussed in the Queen family. Of course, if you have seen if you haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody, spoiler alert, I guess, the movie ends with the Live Aid performance, which is around the time that this director began working with Queen, and he basically did about 30 videos for them, and it ended with Freddie Mercury's final video shoot for These Are the Days of Our Lives in 1991. Page Six did note that a pal of Rami Malek's told them that they hadn't heard of any talk about a new film, and a rep for Queen's record label told them that they also have not heard about any sequel. Hey, Jeff, have you heard about a sequel?
Wow, what a stupid story. And shame on all the film blogs who can now get away with this as long as some outlet like the New York Post, LOL, says there's a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody. They go, is there a sequel to Bohemian Rhapsody? And then they wax ecstatic about whether that would be a good idea or not. And then 2 hours later, when someone actually takes the time to reach out to Graham King and ask, then they get to write a second story being like, update, it's not actually happening. Like, and they get all the traffic from this, and it's so stupid. Who in their right mind is picking up stories, okay, from Page Six, first of all, from who talked to a guy who directed music videos for Queen? When was the last time you guys saw a music video from Queen? This is a guy who worked for them from 25 years ago or something. I mean, someone asked Rami Malek's friends, why don't you just ask the guy who pumped Rami Malek's gas this morning? Like, it's so stupid. I cannot get over it. Would I be shocked if Fox actually did find a way to make some sequel to the highest grossing drama of all time? It actually wouldn't shock me. But, you know, as we discussed before the show, Reilly, there's never been, an actor has never, I guess, done a sequel to an Oscar-winning performance since Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs.
Right.
Although, you know, Michael Douglas also did it for Wall Street. So, you know, Anthony Hopkins returned as Hannibal, Michael Douglas back as Wall Street. How did that work out for either of them?
Well, yeah, not very well. I mean, you know, quality, critics, box office, you can put it all in.
We think Hannibal's okay, right?
Hannibal's pretty good. That's one I can get behind.
Yeah, Wall Street 2.
Yeah, Wall Street 2 was
ill-advised.
Yeah, this just reeks of just not true. Just like to put it out there because Bohemian Rhapsody, and we talked a little bit. We heard about this. We touched on it during Twitter yesterday. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it right now because there's so much behind. I know this movie made a ton of money, and I know Rami Malek deservingly won the Oscar, but don't we want to put that a little bit behind us right now and let things settle down? But money talks, so I can understand that it might be some of the Queen people behind it, but where are the producers and where's Rami Malek? That's what you need to talk about.
Rami Malek and Freddie Mercury are ostensibly dead, right? So it's like, what is this movie about? Adam Lambert coming in to join the band?
No, but this is what I talked about that they'll never do, which is what I was missing from Bohemian Rhapsody, was more about Freddie Mercury and his private life and what happened. Go deeper there. It was more about the band, and I get that. So the only thing I would want from this alleged sequel is to go deeper into his struggle with AIDS and losing him. And that's what would be interesting to me. What was his personal life? What was there? They only scratched the surface there just a smidge. So I would want to see a deeper dive on that character, but I think they would never touch it.
I feel like every AIDS movie is about that, though.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
I just think it's so crazy that people extrapolate these things from like a Brian May interview where he says Live Aid's a good point to leave it. Who knows? There might be a sequel, and people like take that to mean, oh, there's a sequel in the works. Like, wow. Who is making sequels to Bryan Singer movies?
Well, running those stories like that without substantiating the claims is a little ridiculous. But, you know, a lot of the times that we talk about these types of things, they're quotes that come from interviews where, you know, to be frank, people are talking casually to a degree, and they aren't necessarily completely media trained to say exactly what they're supposed to adhere to what is truly being developed. And I even saw a specific tweet this morning from one outlet that said something about someone's upcoming project, and I saw that individual, that writer-director, quote tweet it just to flesh it out. Like, I was talking casually about this, and this is what I really meant. I'm not taking back what I said kind of thing, but I just wanted to put your focus on the specific thing that you should be focusing on, and I quite respect that, but This is crazy to me. And I get what you were saying about, I wouldn't be so surprised if this happened because we're in the middle of a business that's so focused on dollars and cents.
Right.
And this was a hugely successful movie. But in this particular case, the only way I would ever see and believe a Bohemian Rhapsody sequel to happen is if, one, it didn't include Rami Malek, and they basically just went with the other band members. But in that case, you almost take out the major financial draw. I don't think Rami Malek would want to run the risk of of tarnishing that Oscar. He's on to other things now with Bond. But then, on top of that, can you imagine how much money he could demand to come back? I would be shocked if any of them signed any kind of deal for multiple movies. There is close to no possible way in my mind that this project would work out.
The major financial reason to do a movie, it's not like Rami Malek was the draw for this movie. It was the music of Queen. And guess what? We heard it all in the first movie. What songs are left for the sequel?
The second time around, though, after he's got an Oscar in his hand and basically he was like the face of the entire campaign, though, that would be the draw, I think, for number 2. I think basically a Bohemian Rhapsody 2 with Rami Malek involved in some capacity would make like that much money, whereas a movie without him is not nearly as financially
irresponsible
successful.
for the media to report on these kinds of stories, and kudos to whoever actually took the time to reach out to Graham King.
All right.
There it is.
Yeah. So before we get into mailbag questions, because now we're taking Twitter questions?
We did. Well, first we have to do some plugs.
Okay.
Did you have news?
I did. I had some breaking news here.
Okay.
Some actual personal breaking news.
I'm letting you run with this. You're making me nervous.
So I was getting calls from my family during the show because for the last few weeks I've known I'm going to be an uncle.
Hey!
I'm going to be an uncle, and tonight was the gender reveal. Tonight was the gender reveal.
And
there's going to be a first. There's going to be a Sneider girl. Oh my God!
Finally, somebody coming in.
We're all boys in the family.
Put those Sneider boys in check.
I have no idea what a Sneider girl could even look like. I'm kind of terrified.
This is great. Congratulations.
Yes, congrats to my. I know. Congrats to my younger brother Jordan and his beautiful wife Lauren.
Yeah,
amazing.
Huge congratulations.
Love it.
What awesome news.
Nieces are awesome. I have a niece, and she's the best.
I will have a niece soon too.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna be the aunt and uncle that just spoil the crap out of our
Send us
nieces.
send me all your naming ideas so that I can bother them, but don't make it like Leia or any of these
All right,
names.
Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Are you guys going with the
Scarlet Sneider? That's actually not bad.
Scarlet
That's
Sneider.
not bad, right?
Is it a
superhero
specific
name.
letter?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay.
We're all J's in the family. They may want to break that up.
All right.
Well, we'll update.
We can move on to
we'll
the
update
plugs.
you on that as that story progresses. All right. Right now we've got some
Still
plugs
developing, 6
because
more months.
there is content coming your way on this YouTube channel and across the entire Collider network. But tomorrow you're getting a brand new episode of Collider Live. Then of course Movie Talk is live at 4 p.m. PT, and Rule of Two. Rule of Two is happening, Riley.
Rule of Two is dropping. Yeah, it's dropping today. I believe it's going to be dropping later on this evening.
What'd
so
you guys talk about?
Check it out. What don't we talk about? I don't know. I can't pinpoint what we got his thoughts on what Mark Hamill said again. We talked a little bit about some gaming news and how a very enterprising young man recreated Star Wars Pod Racer, updated the graphics, and then we went down the rabbit hole on what will the trailer be for episode 9. Jeff Sneider knows the answer. What is it, Jeff Sneider? You have no idea, do you?
I don't know. We'll talk about it on our podcast,
Okay,
Perry. Rule of
deal.
Jew.
Rule of Two. Perfect.
I'm in.
The official spinoff of Rule of Two. Mazel tov.
So this extra question that Jeff has been teasing is an interesting one, and we got to give a little shout out to Lord of Noise, who wanted our take on the article written about Annapurna, which of course is Megan Ellison's company. And basically what happened is Variety ran an article that ran through Annapurna's recent releases, and they revealed some possible financing information regarding how much they lost on all their movies. And it is a fair amount of money here. So Megan Ellison replied to Variety and wrote, "Nice way of supporting women. I have done good things for the industry and you want me in it. By the way, my money and I look like this and my dad thinks I'm dope as F." And there's a Beyonce gif where she's being showered with money while laying in a pool. Jeff, you brought this to my attention today, so I will toss it to you first.
Guys, buckle up.
Oh boy.
This is an epic clapback. It was like I said on Twitter, just wow. But here's the thing, and I want to preface this by saying I agree with Megan Ellison. Megan Ellison has done a lot of good things for this industry, and we do want her in it.
Yes.
You know, the industry wants another buyer, someone with deep pockets, someone who is making, movies for adults and mid-budget movies, things like Booksmart, which, had a ton of buzz coming out of South by. And, even movies that I didn't like this past award season, like If Beale Street Could Talk or Vice and Destroyer to an extent, like I'm glad that someone is making those movies.
Yep.
But come on, Megan Ellison, if you're going to play with the big boys, so to speak, like you have got to be willing to take the criticism like that. So when you're calling out Claudia Eller for a nice way of supporting women, it's not Claudia Eller's job to support women. Her job is to call it like she sees it, and she's just reporting on things completely fairly, regardless of, what the gender of the studio head. Like, these are movies that have cost Annapurna money. Like, they were not great business decisions. And forget Beale Street, forget Destroyer. Those are small budget things. Vice is a movie that never should have been made at the budget level that it was. And when you see deleted scenes like yesterday's musical scene, you're just like, it's fine for Adam McKay to write that scene and want to shoot it, but to actually be the financier and the producer and pay for that to get shot, you got to be crazy. You got to tell Adam McKay, no, we're not doing this musical scene. It's ridiculous. It's going to wind up on the cutting room floor anyways. Like, and $30 million, because she lost that between these three movies roughly. It's not nothing. To a studio, maybe it's nothing, but when you're a smaller distributor, you're Megan Ellison. Obviously, she's a very wealthy woman, but $30 million is not nothing, and it's totally fair for Variety to look at the company's financials and write a critical article. Like, and the other thing is, it's like, again, I love the clapback, but if you really want to argue, get on the phone and answer the reporter and say, no, like this is why we do this. And again, I'm fine with her. It's her money, let her spend it the way she wants. If she wants to take a $30 million bath on making art films, that's totally within her right. And I'm glad that somebody is out there willing to take that bath and go on that journey with these artists. But to call out Variety was totally, totally correct to do what they did. Sorry.
Very, very, very well said there. I think I'm, pretty much on the same page on this issue. After reading that article, I was a little surprised how strongly she snapped back, because that is what Variety does.
It's not about supporting women. Everything becomes this gender or racial treatise or essay. It's like, you're the head of a company. We're criticizing the company.
Well, it depends how you take the phrase supporting women. It's like, for me personally, it is important for me to be part of a brand that supports women in the fact that, one, we're covering stories truthfully and not maliciously. I don't necessarily sit here and say, I need to support a female filmmaker and never reveal the fact that her movie failed financially at the box office. It's not like that. It's about malicious wording and putting someone down. And in that particular instance, they didn't do that in that article. No. It is strictly an article about facts.
It's business. Facts. I mean, she could take it personally, but I just don't. I was surprised that Megan played the woman card there, because I don't think it's fair. And women, it's just because you're a woman, you don't get a pass. Is that what she's expecting?
I also do understand why she takes it personally. It hurts. It's her business. It's her operation.
It's her baby. I get it.
And these are also very, very important films that I would imagine everybody at that company feels very passionately about. And I can't even begin to tell you how much I want to see Annapurna's financials turn around, because when you do read that list of films and you realize that they were almost all losers financially, that is so upsetting. Right. And it brings me right back to, did you guys ever see Professor Marston and the Wonder Women? That was another Annapurna release. Yeah. And it is so good and completely flew under the radar. Nobody saw it.
And it's not even like a thing about marketing with that. I wouldn't have made that movie to start with. It may very well be a good movie and a great story, but I'm just never pulling the trigger on that as a financier.
That I think is where we get into a troubled zone there. I understand that certain stories are more challenging to make as far as running a company like Annapurna and making money from them, but that is exactly why we need people like Megan Ellison in this business to take those risks on the stories. Maybe there needs to be some sort of changes happening in the promotion and marketing department to, switch it up and get these more challenging, different stories out to a wider audience.
I never understand why people care about budgets and like I'm an industry reporter, so I have to care. But I don't understand why Joe Schmo cares how much something costs. It's not like Annapurna is a publicly traded company whose investors are taking, or whose stockholders are taking a hit when a movie underperforms. Like, this is Megan's money, and frankly, she's free to burn it all if she wants. Like, again, we're getting great lasting works of art in some cases, not in some of the cases that I just named. I didn't care for Sorry to Bother You. That's the movie that actually has been profitable for them. I think that we need Annapurna, and I'm glad to see Megan Ellison sort of stand her ground in a sense, but I don't think that she responded the right way to this article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you feeling about that, Reilly?
I'm with you. I'm with you, dude. I couldn't agree more. I love that she's putting her money where her mouth is and making these movies that are taking chances, and we don't get a lot of that with the studios. They want the locked-in blockbuster, a 4-quadrant opening weekend gross movie.
We need her.
That we don't get with a Vice or a If Beale Street Could Talk or some of the other movies. So I want her to keep doing it. But to your other point, you're going to have to take the heat if somebody goes, but wait a minute, these are all losing money.
Yes.
What are they got to turn it around, right? And then when she's throwing the money in the air, I thought that's just a little, it's a great clapback, but it's a little bit as like, but aren't you worried about your studio and everybody else? And right now it's like all on her, and she's throwing money like Beyonce, and there's a big staff and development and all these things there that you have to worry about.
You got to be willing to take your lumps. And I don't think that Claudia Eller or Matt Donnelly are vindictively going after Annapurna here. Right. They are calling it like they see it. I think the rest of us pretty much see it the same way. Yeah. She's a patron of the arts. But that's going to cost you sometimes in terms of public relations.
If the numbers are accurate. I would just want to, be absolutely sure that
I got to say, I think that the numbers are accurate, and I think that they're pretty generous. I think that Variety played it pretty safe with the estimates of how much these movies could lose.
All right. That is our first Twitter question. We're going to do another one. Let's go with something a little lighter from D. Cowie Writer, and Dean is asking us, cinema etiquette. Is it okay to talk during trailers? A couple people behind me were doing that at a screening last week. I wanted to ask them to be quiet, but since it wasn't the actual movie, I wasn't sure who would be the rude one in that scenario.
No. They need to shut up. When those lights go down, that movie has started, trailers and all. People want to see the trailer. You tell them to shush it.
I think
done.
I think I'm with Dean on this one, and you, I guess, because I want people to be quiet when I watch the trailers, because I like we're constantly watching trailers on our teeny tiny computer screens. When I go see a movie in the theater, I really want to take it in and enjoy it. But I'm also like Dean in that even if I was pissed that someone was talking in that specific moment, I would never have the nerve to turn around and tell someone to shut up. Whereas if they were talking during the actual movie, then I would.
I'm with Perri on this. I actually, as much as I would love to live in a world where everyone pays trailers respect and all that, most of the time you go to the movies, you've already seen the trailers. They've already been online. So I hold my shushing until the movie starts. Once the movie's starting, you're getting that shush. But trailers, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. One more question today. This is an interesting one from Pete ZZZ17, who writes, how do you define master filmmaker, and which filmmakers do you think fall into this category or label, or when do you consider someone a master filmmaker?
Oh, God.
Big question.
That's so subjective.
I'll put it this way.
Right now.
It's a fraction of the times that they say it in these trailers from visionary director so-and-so. I'm like, are you kidding me? Who is a master filmmaker? I mean, look at that bracket that hit Film Twitter last night.
Oh boy, God, yeah, that's
questionable bracket. A fun conversation starter, but I'm pretty sure everybody out there would have moved things around differently on that bracket.
Fincher, Tarantino, Cohen, Spielberg, those.
I mean, I think when directors like a Spielberg can, make the first blockbuster in Jaws and then reinvent himself years later and make Schindler's List, I think you're a master. But then there's Quentin Tarantino that plays in his version of a genre, like he created the Tarantino genre, and does it so well. I think you would consider him a master as well. I think there are directors out there. It's very subjective. I mean, I think, would you clump Michael Bay and say he's a master? Now he's a master of blowing stuff up and making blockbusters and getting butts in seats. So it's very subjective. I think if you want to call a director, if you enjoy their movies so much, doesn't matter who it is, that you're going to go opening night or buy all their movies or get their posters and put them on walls, and you want to call them a master, how about it?
I think master means of a certain age, too. Like, I can't go calling Ryan Coogler, Damien Chazelle, or Barry Jenkins film masters yet. I'm sorry. I don't care if they've won Oscars. Ryan Coogler is not a film master yet.
I tend to agree with that, actually.
Jordan Peele's not a film master yet.
It goes to my Spielberg point of view.
That's why I chose this question, because that was a word that was thrown around a lot after the release of Us at South by Southwest. And I was thinking about it quite a bit, and I did hesitate to say, like, Jordan Peele is a master filmmaker. I said his work was masterful, I believe, but like, I started to think about it a little bit. When I started to think about the details and what he was able to create on so many different levels, it's just, I look at a film like Us and I see his brain operating on a different level, a different understanding of how you unite everything together, how you tell such a multi-layered story. And I think, I really do think that guy is a pro. That guy is a master at what he does. And that's not to say that Jordan Peele can't release a third feature that falls flat on its face and it isn't good. And I'm not still looking at Get Out and Us and saying those were masterful films. So it's just a matter of it being almost like a fluid definition. And really, I think you're in the right to maybe take that away from someone if they, let's say, release a string of not so good releases. I think it's more of like an in the moment feeling. Or at least it is for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Ryan Coogler's made 3 good movies. I just happen to be of the opinion that each one is technically not as good as the last one.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's subjective as well.
I know.
I think he's one that you could argue is 3 for 3. In that he made 3 very different movies in 3 very different genres and crushed them in box office and critically. So if anybody has a moniker of the master waiting to be anointed, it's Ryan Coogler. I think that if he keeps going at this level, I would start calling him a master in a few years.
I think 5 movies. 5 movies feels like a good number.
I teeter on giving Ryan Coogler the M word right now, but
I do too. Yeah.
With what you just said, I mean, it's subjective, and it's almost like I take the word master and I file it in the same compartment that I do my movie review grades, where I'll give it the grade in the moment because it feels right more so than anything. Giving something a review or rating number, whatever letter, however you do it. It's not down to a science. It's not a mathematical, precise thing that's happening. It's more of it's a feeling in the moment. And that feeling in the moment could change as you watch and you rewatch something, or as you watch someone continue to grow as a director. And sometimes that growth can make them even more of a master than they felt like before. And sometimes, they could hit a lull for a little bit and snap back. So it's all fluid right now. Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and call Jordan Peele a master filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen Us.
Yeah.
So
I've seen Us and I can't stop thinking about it.
Okay. Yeah. If anybody, again, I'm not ready yet. One movie is not enough for me, but from what I'm hearing from Us, I might be a little bit more closer to calling him that. But again, I think you have to look at a body of work to start having that conversation. And that could be 2 films. That could be 3 films like Ryan Coogler. But I like to look at like the Tarantinos, the Spielbergs, some of these masters, I guess that we're calling it, and looking at their body of work and see how they've held up over the years.
All right, I'm going to leave that one to you guys now. Hit that comment section below. Tell us, who do you think are the master filmmakers out there? Does the amount of films they make matter to you? We want to know what you think also. And with that, it's a wrap on today's Movie Talk. We are done. I've got to thank Jeff and Riley for joining me at the table. And of course, Cody in the booth back there. Thanks so much for being here, Cody. We miss you, Adam. We'll see you soon.
Horchata Poppy.
You got it in there.
Shout out.
All right. Fair game. We're out of here, but I'm going to remind you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. PT Live for a brand new episode of Movie Talk. Like and share this episode. Tell everybody you know about it, and also about us on the podcast network as well. We will see you soon.